Okay, we've seen The Big Sick.
Yep. So The Big Sick is a romantic comedy directed by Michael Showalter, and it's written by Kumail Nanjiani and his actual real-life wife, and basically the movie stars Kumail as well, and basically
It's about his real-life wife and Kumail.
And yeah, it's kind of their story, and there's some real horrendous stuff that goes down, and I feel like if you don't know it at this stage, it's going to be much more satisfying going into the movie not knowing the first initial twist that is kind of the catalyst of the story. Now, this movie is one that had great reviews, and we were like, we cannot miss seeing this before we go away, and we are so glad that we got to see it, because it's so good.
It's so good.
So good.
So good. So good. You meant to keep going, and we just keep going. So The Big Sick is sick, it's pretty sick, it's a good time, and you don't get sick from it, because lots of comedy, lots of laughs, lots of good times, sick one.
The best way of talking about this movie is that it's like just a really, really pleasant experience. It's one of the most effective comedies I've seen in ages, just because it kind of so often subverts basic ideas, just because Kumail Nanjiani kind of just takes there's all these kind of real life situations that I feel like he's been in before. Like these are all, I mean, it is really based on his life, but I just feel like he's found the humanity in every situation, found a way to build a joke from that's always tasteful and yet always surprising. Because quite often when most films try to write jokes that take you off guard or that you're not expecting, they end up trying to be, they're like offensive or crude or just completely kind of out of left field. This is all really grounded, really effective, really humane humor, and it's because the characters in this film are so well kind of constructed and just handled. It's just a really, really delicate movie, and we kind of dig that.
Yeah, 100%. It's similar to how Aziz Ansari has handled Master of None, being someone of a different culture and coming to America and having to deal with like America's beliefs and ideologies and stuff, but still wanting to fit into that
assimilation type thing.
Yeah, and it's very similar themes we're seeing here again in The Big Sick, but it's just so goddamn well handled, and like every single character in this film is really, really well handled. Not just with comedy, like no one's really there for just comedic relief, which is really fantastic. Everyone has like this pure human side to them, like they are a human existing in this world.
And the comedy stems from the real life interactions and those mistakes that we make and those failures in communications, just not just between like different cultures, but just people that just differ because they're different people.
And I think that's why a lot of people are loving this film, because it's just this beautiful balance of like hilarious comedy with like this stark, realistic look on life that doesn't become too depressing.
Because it's got some really, really heavy subject matter, but the film is always really, really talented at balancing its ideas. I think a lot of the jokes work so well is because the ideas are set up earlier on as just ideas and they're later used as jokes. There's a lot of comedy drawn out of this film that's both in the moment, something funny occurs, let's run with it, let's make a joke about it, and there's other times where it just kind of it's kind of set up and it's kind of something that's been sitting in the back of our minds, and when they finally decide to address that issue, they're able to draw comedy about it because they've kind of had this kind of mixed feeling about it because of the way the film has set it up. And all the performers handle it really, really well here, because we have Zoe Kazan, who plays his girlfriend in this movie, and her parents are played by Hunter and Ray Romano, and it's all excellent work across the board. Really, really sincere work.
And definitely a big special mention to Ray Romano here, because we all know how talented Holly Hunter is. She's absolutely fantastic. Her comedic timing here is incredible.
Really sharp.
But, I mean, like, everybody loves Raymond.
You don't. You hate that show.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of the show.
No, like, you hate it.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan at all. But, like, the thing is that, you know, like, I also haven't given enough time. Like, I've given time to Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm. But anyway, I'm not a fan of Everybody Loves Raymond, but I am a fan of Ray Romano here, because his performance is very, very, very sincere.
We're using that word a lot.
Have we?
Yeah, that's about the 4th time.
Oh, I haven't used it once.
Must be true then.
But yes, his performance here is fantastic. I think it's a performance that's very relatable for him. I assume he has kids himself, and he just found a way to connect with it quite emotionally, and it just transcended on scene. And I think that's one of my favorite things about this film is not only is it just very modern and present and feels real and relatable.
It's authentic.
It's authentic, and I feel that's what's going to make it last over time as well, because like so many of the jokes are really quite timeless, and like already thinking back to them, we even said just like, you know, on the drive home that like it was incredibly quotable.
Yeah, there's so many things already. Like I was scrolling through like the Facebook page of the film after, trying to see if they've posted any individual quotes, because there were so many times that we were absolutely like gut busting laughter, just because this film constantly takes you by surprise. Now, that's kind of all the good stuff here. We do have to mention that the film it's an indie film, and there's definitely a lot of kind of technical issues. There's a lot of, you know, when you watch a wide shot and people's mouths aren't moving but they're talking, or that kind of thing. There's a lot of kind of really quick fire editing. I feel like the film could have been pushed a little bit further in terms of both soundtrack and composition. I feel like there's a lot of times where it goes with a safe kind of close-up, 2 shots back and forth, where I feel like there's a lot of times they could have rocked or wide, told the story a bit more visually, but it's still really human. It's still, I think it still kind of works in its favor, but it's just technically a pretty unimpressive type of movie.
Again, as much as like I hate to relate it again, but like back to Master of None, something where Aziz Ansari has got a lot of time creatively to control his scenes and work them cinematically and really like enhance them with music. Here, it just feels as though this film was just like they had a great script and they just went out and made it. They only had a short time period and they just had to get it done.
And we still got a lot of respect for them. We got a lot of appreciation. It's still really good. We also want to say this movie has an absolutely kick-ass ending. The ending was really, really effective. I think it's going to leave a lot to be desired by quite a few people that watch it. But at the same time, like for us, the film really put this really strong like full stop on the story there. And actually, like, it's one of those full stops that was open-ended. It's one of those things where it's like kind of wants you to feel like it's ambiguous, but it's not, because you completely get everything you needed to from the way it ended in the last like 2-3 minutes. And I really, really love that about this movie. I really, really love everything about this movie pretty much.
Yeah, this film was big and it was sick.
Sick. Like sick.
Does anyone else in the world like say sick like us Aussies do all the time? There, mate, sick, mate. What are you looking? He's literally
just picked up my phone in the middle of the review.
I thought you were
talking shit again, so I was like, oh, he's just talking to himself. We're not going to use this. Looks like we are. Anyway, if we're going to actually score the movie, I'm giving this one an 8.5 out of 10.
Yes, okay, I'll go 8.5 as well.
Stop stealing my scores.
No, it's a nice score. And there was no point in me going like 8.4 because then I'd look like an idiot.
We should have discussed it first, so we both said 8.5.
We should have, but you got out your fucking phone and just started...
Yeah, I stopped paying attention. Fell asleep at the wheel.
It's 1 AM and we still haven't packed and we leave in 10 hours. Is it 1 AM?
Oh, I checked my phone again. What's the time? Time to get a watch. So that was our review of The Big Sick. Have you seen it yet?
Did you like it?
Did you hate it?
Did you like this video?
Of course you did.
Crave more banter.
If so, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel right there somewhere.
And don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat and Twitter, all at Breaking Banter.